So you may be doing a qualitative research project and you're like, what is a methodology? Why should I use one? And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I tell my clients inside of the Finish Your Dissertation Program and how to figure out which methodology is right for you. Keep on watching. Before I get into the different types of methodology, I want to tell you an analogy because I think it'll help you understand. I want you to imagine that we are going on a trip and we are going to go from Washington State all the way to Florida State. And we have to figure out, how do we get from Washington to Florida? Now, there are various ways to get there. We can fly, drive, take a cruise if we want to take the scenic route, but there are multiple ways to get there. But it first starts with, what type of traveler are you? Are you someone who's like, I just want to get to my destination as quickly as possible. I don't want to do any stopping. I just want to get there as fast as possible. Are you someone who's like, I wouldn't mind doing a cross-country road trip. It seems good. We can stop, we can explore different places, we can try different restaurants. I like that. Or are you someone who's like, no, this gotta be a journey. Like, I want to find my soul's purpose and I am going to take a boat there. Why am I talking about road trips? Because I want you to think about this. In research and qualitative research, the methodology is all about the type of traveler you are, how you approach the world of traveling. Because someone who wants to just get to their destination as quickly as possible is going to take a different means of getting to Florida than someone who's like, I'm on a soul's mission. I don't care. I got endless time, endless resources. They're going to probably try a different way of going from Washington to Florida. We're all doing the same thing. We all have the same goal of getting to Florida, but we all have different ways and approaches of getting to Florida. Those different ways and approaches, that's the methodology. It's the theory, it's our philosophy, it's how we approach the the experience of traveling. The individual vehicles, so a car, a plane, a boat, it's the different methods that we employ to get to our end result, which is getting to Florida, which will be your data collection methods. So when you think about your research, you really want to sit with, how do I think about data? How do I think about exploring this phenomena or this problem? What am I most concerned with? Am I most concerned with speed? Am I most concerned with, I want to get there, but I could do a little bit of scenic traveling, scenic route through car. Or I'm like, I got all the time in the world. Who cares if it takes me 3, 4, 5, 7 years to finish a dissertation? I got time. Which one are you? And which one does the problem or your study call for? That is how you will know which methodology and methods to use. So we got that out of the way. And next, I'm going to tell you about the 6 most common methodologies that I see my clients use. And number 1 is case study. So most students think, oh, I should have a case because I'm looking at a particular area, I'm looking at a particular group of people, but that's not always true. You have to think to yourself, am I really concerned with just this one location, knowing the ins and outs? If you are doing something that is for one particular program, one particular, let's say, institution, then a case study might be right for you. What do you want to think about though? It's going to require multiple sources of data. A case study is an in-depth description or analysis of a specific program, a process, an institution, or a relationship. And it involves you clearly defining the boundaries of that place. An example of being clear about the boundaries is, I'm looking at this orientation program at this one institution in the state of Georgia in this particular city, right? The reader then knows, oh, we are talking about this one school and not multiple schools. Now, you can have multiple cases in your study. So you can have this one school district, it's the outside boundary, and then these different schools within that district, and that is what your study is focused on. And it is going to require you to look at, for each individual case, their history, their context. Maybe you're looking at policies and documents. Maybe you're talking to individual teachers and students and parents, but you're going to be talking and getting data from multiple sources to make sense of that particular unit. That is what's involved in a case study. Number 2, ethnography. So maybe you want to immerse yourself in a particular community or an organization to understand the culture. You want to become one with that community or organization. And so you're going to spend a prolonged time there getting to know the customs, getting to know the different systems, getting to know the little quirks and the norms and the rules, getting to know what it's like to be a member of that community or that organization. And it's likely going to require a great deal of observation, a lot of note taking, and you're going to have to be granted access into that community. Otherwise, it gets a little funny. This takes a great deal of time and resources. And so you have to think, am I someone who can dedicate that? We're talking 6 months at the least, and probably multiple years, depending on your study. Now, there's a subsection here that a lot of my clients will use called autoethnography, and that is when you are exploring the community or the organization of yourself. Something about your particular life, you're going to explore multiple forms. You're going to study yourself. I know it sounds a little bit strange, but it is emerging design and it is creating amazing results. And it might be something worthy of you checking out. Number 3, grounded study. So you're someone who wants to create a theory. You're like, yes, I know that I've been exploring some phenomena, I've been seeing some things, and I think there's a theory here to be made. So what you're going to do is take a bunch of information, a bunch of data, and maybe it's interviews and it's focus groups and it's policies and it's observation. And the whole goal here is to distill out the personal experience and distill it down into concrete concepts and points for a theory that can be utilized in a more general perspective. This is going to require a lot of time, a lot of intentionality, a lot of analysis. And this is not something that you could do in 3 months or 6 months. This is something that's going to take a year or if not longer for you to do it well. Number 4, phenomenology. This is more where I see clients, they're like, I want to investigate a particular phenomena or event by describing and interpreting the participants' lived experiences. So there's your subpopulation, they're having a certain experience, and you want to understand what exactly is that experience. I like to think about it as what's the definition of that experience? Like, I am creating a very structural meaning and understanding of their experience. I'm not so much interested in using their words and their language or in the way that they see it. I'm more interested in if we can take away their bias or subjectivity, whatever word you use, and my, as the researcher, bias and subjectivity, and we can distill it down into a very clear description, a very structured definition of that experience. That's the goal of phenomenology. Number 5 gets us into narrative inquiry, and it's still based on the participants' experiences, but it's more about how the participants themselves relate to that experience. If you're looking for a video more in depth about the differences between phenomenology and narrative inquiry, you can go and watch this video over here. But narrative inquiry, the goal is for the participants to tell their stories and for them to make sense of their stories. And you're helping to facilitate that meaning making. It includes context. It includes the particular time that experience took place in. It includes the relationships that were happening in that experience. And it also includes the environment in which that was taking place in. And that requires a lot of asking of stories, a lot of sitting with the data and coming up with individual narratives for each participant. And then that leads us finally to action research. And this is where the researcher works with participants to then translate theory into practice. So essentially, you as the researcher, you're going to recruit some participants, but those participants are also going to be co-researchers in a way. And together, the group of you are going to be looking at a particular theory, a particular problem, a particular phenomena to try to make sense of it. And usually the goal here is to bring about some sort of social change, is to impact the community, whether that's a local community or a community at large. And it is a multi-level, multi-step, multi-process system, which can have some amazing benefits, but will also take some time. Phenomenology and narrative inquiry takes time, but not as much as case study or participant action research or grounded theory. And so those are some options. Writing your methods chapter doesn't have to be complicated. Choosing a methodology doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to focus on who are you and what is your approach.